All right, and we're live. So everybody should be back and suitably hungover from
4th of July.
the festivities at the
I know.
weekend. Did you see Scott's email about bull runs creeping up rather than being, "Hey, I'm here, I'm here." Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
If I had to use one word to interpret all of his emails this week, it would be the word groundswell. You know, like a
Yep.
momentum, a momentum picking up in the background. Because I mean, the corn has been pretty solid over the last sort of month. I mean, yeah, it hasn't
hmm
done anything, and we can look at the levels and it's kind of fluttered around, but everything's just priced in, isn't it? Already it's just priced in. Well, there's the wars priced in. There's the big beautiful
hmm
that's priced in.
Priced in, which is interesting. If you really analyze what priced in means, like what is the price? What price? You know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, is just see what the market is giving you, and then at the end of the day, if it holds, it holds. If it doesn't, just crash, it dumps. As simple as that. You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
I'm just firing up Trading View now. What are we going to weekly close then this week on
That was an
Bitcoin?
interesting close. Yeah, we can go through it. Do you have anything? I have a few things that has been going on over the weekend. How you guys doing?
I just wanted to see that. Yeah, I mean, look at that close, 109. So
Hmm.
yeah, the only way is up from here. So I'll do what Scott says at the bottom of his email. If you can't be bothered with all this stuff, then just get FinRev. Okay, Maurizio, that's me.
Mate.
Can't be bothered. I'm just in the FinRev. I got my DGen account. That's it. That's my synopsis for the week. Sit
I
back.
know. I know. The interesting thing, obviously, is the difference between FinRev is and trading is once you get into trading, you could actually do pretty well. When you catch this massive but one big thing, one thing that I've learned in terms of trading is when to size and when not to size, and
Mhm.
and that's actually pretty. It's a. I'm still learning. I'm still making mistakes like everybody, right? But then at the end of the day, if you size well and when the time is right, is when you made all the profits. It could be on 1 month and everything. Like last year, for instance, we 10x our account in 1 month. That's it. Everything else was crap. We took some trades here and there, we got stopped out, things in there. But then in 1 month, we took 4 trades, and those 4 trades triplicate our account. As simple as that. You know what I mean? So it could, it's a tough one. It's draining. But then if you keep the momentum, like if you really like trading, uh, you know, that's the way it goes, man. So it sucks, but when it pays out, yeah, the more you do it, it will pay out at the end of the day. Yeah,
Exactly.
Jason, I know it's addictive, man. I'm like a crack addict, man. With fucking sorry, excuse my language, with charts. You know what I mean? You can't fucking stop watching them. It's like a dopamine thing, like I don't know. And I don't know if you guys do any scalping, but scalping is fun. Like I love it. But then it's great. The amount of stuff that you can do with scalping is quite amazing. So but it's draining. Like I was burned like last week, man. There's been so many ups and downs and things like that. So that's the downside of it, right? Everything has pros and cons.
Well, that's it. It's like FinRev manual is great if you want to get to know the coins, if you want to get really good at manually putting orders on, if you want to see what fees are, then FinRev Silver is absolutely excellent for that. But as you so rightly said, but like especially with trend trading, you get paid because it is shit, because you have to sit there thinking, this is shit, I don't like it, and now I'm in
Mm,
drawdown. And then you get that whoosh and you're off. And like you say, you can capture a year's profit, 2 years profit, all in 1 month. It's almost like crypto gets to that exciting point and then it's over, and it's kind of over so quick. And then it's things like, you know, it's not what you make, it's what you keep. One trend to rule them all. All these little phrases, these little heuristics, they all become true over time, you know. Like
Oh
another
yeah.
one of Scott's is generally just before you get there, you have that feeling first of, I fucked it. I fucked it. You know, it's like I shouldn't
Yep.
be here. It's not going to happen. It's done. You know, oh, look at that. There we go. You know, and that's how it is. But I mean, scalping, that's basically picking up a knife and having a knife fight every day.
Well,
Close.
depends. Depends. If you train to fight, then it's fun. You know what I mean? Like, but if you give a knife to a little kid, you're gonna get you're gonna get killed, man. You know what I mean? That's the problem, you know. So obviously,
Mm,
and that's the thing. So, but you're right. You know what I mean? Like you're right. So yeah, scalping is tough, man.
mm.
It's not tough. I will say it's practice, training, and you know, and just spending a lot of time looking at the charts. I think that's kind of where it comes back to.
There's a lot of risk management, but there's having gone through risk management, so you know how it feels
Mm,
when
mm,
you through it, you know, like it's easy to say oh drawdown, but to go through a drawdown is a different matter. It's like let me give one of my poker metaphors, right? Let's say you've got 100 chips and the person that you're playing against has only got 20 chips, right? Well, if
mm-hmm,
you've got something like, say, 5-4 suited, you don't really want to play against his 20 chips. It might seem, oh, I can only lose 20 chips, but you can only win 20 chips. Now,
mm-hmm,
let's say in another game, you've got 200 chips and the person you're going up against has got 200 chips. Well, that 5-4 you've got, that's a completely different proposition now. You know it's going to lose, but then it's going to have a win that will make up and more for all of those loses because these big stacks would never expect you to have this 5-4 hand. So you get more chips so that you can be speculative against the right people. And
mm-hmm,
that's risk management. That has an emotional cost to it.
mm-hmm,
You sit there and you watch your chips dwindling. 10 times I've done this now, 11 times I've done this now, and nothing seems to happen. But you have to keep making the right play against the right person.
mm.
And that's the thing with the manual trading. You know, you wake up and you think to yourself, you know what? I don't really like the world today. Fucking everything's shit. But you've still got to sit down and make those right decisions, those uncomfortable decisions, type of
Yep.
decisions from there, you know. But
The problem with that is your decisions, and you know, decision fatigue is real. You know, and when you're scalping, you're making a lot of decisions quite fast. So you get like you get really tired, man, like really tired. Uh, that's why, you know, it depends of what works for you and not. But for me, it works sometimes. The long-term sort of traits that I share with you guys in terms of you know, longer time frames and things like that, you know, yeah, it's one of those things. The market shifts too quick, and is, you know, sometimes you get the nice moves, sometimes, you know, just retrace, just round trips. So that's how it is. But I'm just curious because I've been noticing in the chat, um, a lot of people seems to be sort of interested in sort of making scalps and things like that. Who like who will be interested in that? Jason, who else? Not many. Yeah, a
yeah.
couple here and there, right? Okay, there you go. Oh, there we go. Now we're talking. Interesting. Yes. Okay. The downside of uh the downside of it is that is you need to spend a lot of time on charts and things like that. But we can probably, I don't know, maybe when the market is slow, we can sort of go through a few sessions of things like that. We can figure it out, and then there will be good stuff. I did share some strategies, in terms of actually doing some small scalping on using just timeframes, big timeframes, and then going to small timeframes. We'll go through it now if you really like to, but then we can go very, very, very in depth. But yeah, that's interesting. Okay, so we can just talk about it after to see if we can organize some classes or something that we can do some scalping. There you go. Scalping is fun because at the end of the day, if you catch good trades, you can actually make the same amount of money that you could do in a long time frame trade. But then obviously the rush is there, the adrenaline. If you size wrongly, then you could get fucked pretty easily. That's the downside. So pros and cons. But anyway, good to know. Good to know that you guys are interested because we can actually sort of organize something about it.
Nice. Really nice. All right. Did you want to run through?
All right. Do you have anything from the Bitcoin perspective or not really?
Mate, other than this weekly close,
This
I don't know what much else to say about the corn, to be honest. It's like it should be in but there we go. Look at that word. It should be. It doesn't have to do anything that I think it wants to do. So I mean, this whole thing has just been reaccumulation, range and go, reaccumulation, range and go. Just repeated over and over again. And I know that we've dipped down like this last week or so, but we've pretty much just been in a reaccumulation range for like the last sort of 5 weeks. But we've had a strong close above 109 this week. So let's see if that can give us this push to new all-time highs this week, because that's what we need to do. We need to get into that. It's back into that price discovery, and then see where it's going to go, if it's going to go. That's what needs to happen next. Like the technical stuff that we've talked about the last few weeks about, the retest, the weekly close where it needs to finish. We're just at that point now. Well, it just needs to go and get into price discovery, and then we're there. Let's see what it does. It might suck all the oxygen out of the market. Alts will try and keep up with it for a little bit. Some of the stronger alts will start to keep up with it. But then depending on how much if it goes into new all-time highs, alts generally then fall off a little bit until the corn starts to cycle the money out. So, I've been saying the same thing for a month now. Just beat this close above 109, which we got this week. And then we just need to attack those all-time highs.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, let's go through the charts and yeah, before Martin shares something that I'm going to share as long like with you as well. Like, yeah, I did notice that. And there's there's some movements around a whale moving 80,000 Bitcoins. 80,000 Bitcoins is like $1 billion something dollars. I'll show you the addresses and things and ways that you can actually use to track it. So let me just show you that. But before we start, I just want to hear your thoughts and what do you guys think about Bitcoin? What do you think is going to happen in the market this week? Like we're out of the 4th of July sort of weekend. Let me just give me 1 sec. Open the door for my dog. There you go. So where are you guys at? Has been 2 days. Yes, definitely volatility. All right. Going higher. Probably. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah. So mixed feelings, right? Mixed feelings. So let's start unpacking this thing because I'm bullish, I'm cautious, but let me show you where I'm at. So first of all, let me just share my screen. Give me 1 second. Let me just organize that I have everything in a different screen. Give me 1 second. All right, just bring, yeah. All right, let's start with addressing the elephant in the room, which is basically, yeah, you guys see my screen? So this happened over the weekend. So Adornment addresses after 14 years, they start transferring money around, like transferring a total of 7,000 sort of Bitcoins, which is about 7.5 billion has been moved. They have been moved. So this, there is a lot of, I don't know if you guys, you can use tools like Well Alert and things like that you can actually have a tracker send you alerts when certain amount of Bitcoins have been transferred to side by side. Usually, why that's important, because what happens is Bitcoin that are they are stored in wallets or cold wallets, right? In order to sell it, you need to move it into an exchange, more than likely, or to an OTC desk in order to actually sell it. And that's when things like Well Alerts or Arkham, I'll show you how to use Arkham, becomes handy, because when you start seeing that some wallets, some whales, or you're seeing a lot of Bitcoin being transferred into an exchange, well, that doesn't mean it's going to be a sell-off, but it's an indication, right? This is sort of something that spooked a lot of people over the weekend. Obviously, it's an illiquid weekend. We talked about it last week in terms of the 4th of July. We were holidays closed in the US and things like that. So this is something that you can actually start tracking. If you do, I do have my own alerts and things like well tracking, and usually when they start getting moved into an exchange or into an OTC desk, you might expect a little bit of a sell-off. Okay, so you can actually just use Well Alert to track that, or there's another one that Look on Chain, and Look on Chain usually start posting this stuff on Twitter, and you can actually follow the addresses and things like that. If you do have the addresses, right, you can actually open up Arkham. I did talk about Arkham I've used Arkham a lot, and Arkham is just a platform that you can track every single address, right? And then it has a lot of cool things that you can track entities, like you can track all the addresses from Coinbase or Binance or things like that. So you understand when people are actually moving into Bitcoins or any assets to be sold off or things like that. That doesn't mean they're going to be sold off, but usually they do, right? Why? So it's a really good way to start tracking these type of movements. So probably that's why we had a pullback. It's high speculative why we have a pullback over the weekend. First of all, it was illiquid, right? We didn't have no continuation, and also we have this news. So that's why we did have a little bit of pullback perhaps over the weekend. But then if you are an outcome, by the way, you can just, this is very simple, right? This is the outcome dashboard. You can actually track every single thing that you can think of. It's really good. Like it's a really good tool. But if you do have the addresses, it's just as simple of grabbing the address, right? And copy it here. And then just click on the address, and it tells you the history. So if you do know the address of someone, you can actually know what assets they're holding, what is the portfolio, what is the holding by chains, the transfers, the inflows, the outflows, are they in profit, are they in a loss, things like that. So it's a really, really good tool. And also it has a way to visualize, where it's transferring stuff. So this wallet has been transferring little pieces all over the place, right? Is that so you can start speculating who is the owner of this thing, of this address or something like that. So that's been the focus of crypto for the whole weekend. So I'll be doing more research, but then obviously mindful, huge amount of Bitcoin. If that's if that indeed starts get sold off, then it's going to affect the market, right? You got a lot of supply. It will be dumped on the market. How is it going to be dumped? Is it going to be sold, or is just someone that found the address start sort of changing to different wallet to secure their Bitcoin and things like that, and it's never going to sell it? Who knows? So it's highly, highly speculative. But if you start seeing that this starts going to an exchange, then I'll be mindful of that, right? I'll definitely be mindful of that. So definitely this is something that I want to share with you in terms of how to use Haka, because if you save this dashboard, or you can actually create alerts, right? You can actually see when these ones will start doing another transfer. And if you start seeing this transfer into an exchange, which Arkham has pretty much labeled all the exchanges, right? Coinbase, all the major ones at least, then you have an indication that we might have a little bit of pullback. So I'll be a little bit cautious in terms of, going into things with leverage or stuff like that. So yeah, so it's a lot of Bitcoins that have been moved, right? I'm talking about $8 billion, man, and that's actually an interesting thing that happened over the weekend. So I'll create my dashboards, and then I'll keep track. Until then, I'll start just with price action, right? Because at the end of the day, this moves the price action, right? So let's see how market reacted to this sort of news. So Dwayne, so 2009 Bitcoin price range from 0 to about. Okay, never mind. All right, let's back to price action. Let's go and have a look at Bitcoin. This is what I'm looking at. Okay. So with Bitcoin, so obviously over the weekend, we had like this is the pullback that we had on Friday. So on Friday, but over the weekend, actually we hold off this price. We did not manage to close above this high, but it's looking pretty good. Like in terms of support and resistance price action, it looks pretty good. So we basically close above this sort of trend line, give or take. Is this going to be a new trend line created, or is this finally going to break out? But in terms of smaller time frames, right, on the 6 hours sort of view, it looks okay, right? It looks okay. It doesn't look as great as I wanted to see, because on a bull run, what you want to see is these levels being broken out and not be. You can actually see that these levels are so like in the right sort of close. You know what I mean? Like this is actually driven by algos in a way, right? Like all this price movement, the price movement that would be so perfect to levels, touch the level, come down, and then came back, and then it is very, very algo driven. So more than likely, right? I'm not being so confident on this one, right? Unless we start closing above this level here, about the 109 level. That will give me a little bit more confidence in terms of the price keeps moving up. From the higher time frames, if we look at the weekly, right? So let me just hide all this stuff. Weekly looks amazing, man. Like weekly just managed to close a little bit above these highs here. So it looks pretty great, man. Like weekly, yeah, it looks pretty good, right? Towards the upside. So what else can affect Bitcoin price this week besides the the transfers and things like that? Obviously, we have Trump saying that it was a tariff decision that by July 9th something had to happen, but then I think they pushed that decision down to August. So I think that's going to be positive for the market. And also in August is going to be the MicroStrategy earnings report. So that could be really, I'm following MicroStrategy quite a lot, because obviously that's the biggest sort of, besides the ETFs, that the bigger buyer, and all the treasury companies that we talk about last couple of weeks. So So far on that front, everything looks okay. So if we didn't have that thing over the weekend about the 80,000 Bitcoins being moved, I would expect that this price would have broken out by now, you know. So that's where I'm at. So I'm in between bullish, but very, very cautious. Okay. If we have a look at Velo data, let's have a look at Velo data. So Velo data looks a little bit all over the place. So look at this week that just happened here, right? This is open interest being sort of liquidated, and we do have spot volume coming up. We do have open interest rising. So we have liquidations to the upside. It looks okay to have a sustained price move, but if we start seeing a lot of spot being sold off, I would expect that the price is going to definitely come back down, right? So if we analyze those two scenarios, right? Oh yeah, right here. Let me just bring up and let me just do this on sort of 6 hours. All right, so if we don't manage to break above, I think the next level, will be around this one, the 107,500, right? Which is around the this level here that actually hold over the weekend. So this level here, it looks very well supported. You know, you can actually see a lot of liquidity around that area. So these are the levels that if you become good in sort of drawing those levels, that's when you can actually do your scalping. Let me just show you. So I'll mix in. Yeah, returnable. Okay. So this level around here, it looks definitely like a pretty good level to hold. So whenever the price usually comes back to these levels, when there is a lot of liquidity, you could more than likely see bounces, right, in small time frames, right? I'm not saying that this is going to bounce all the way up here. I'm saying that on small time frames, you usually see bounces. So that's when I do the major of scalping. The problem with scalping and doing alerts and things like that is by the time that I get out of the trade, technically, I send the signal. So these things could happen really, really fast. So for instance, another way to do scalping in a way is when you start drawing these levels on a high time frame. So check this out, for instance. I did draw this level a while back at 110. And then if you drop on time frames like 5 minutes or 15 minutes, okay, you can actually see that we touch that level and we start bouncing back. And then that wouldn't be a really good short, right? And that short, usually on the bounce of that, I wouldn't take it immediately, but I will wait a little bit to see what's the behavior of the price, and then you can actually take a short, and then at the end of the day, stop loss above here, and you know that wouldn't be a really good short, really, really small time frame short, right? So if you take that short, for instance, that wouldn't be 1 second. No, Fibonacci right here, usually. What's going on with this? I see why. Sorry. Yeah, that'll give you like 1 to 2 risk reward sort of deal, right? But then you need to be aware of how to size, how to risk manage, and all that sort of stuff. Okay. Things like that in terms of scalping, right? Drawing your big levels and then dropping into small time frames, and then usually price bounce to either direction, right? And then that's when you actually scalp the market. Don't expect to make huge amount of money, but then expect to just do at least 1-to-1. That's a good place to start. 1-to-1. What that means is if you place a trade here, right, and you put your stop loss here, what that means is if you risk 1% from here to here, then you get out at 1% profit. What that means is you risk 1% to make 1%. But then you do that repeatedly, right? And you become good at doing this. Like more than likely within the month, you can actually risking 1%, make 20, 30, 40% of your account, right? And that's when you build your account quite a bit. But the downside is that if you're not around for this, when the price actually hits these levels, then you can't actually take that trade. Downside. Okay, so that's kind of yeah, pros and cons, right? Pros and cons. All right, so that's just a little bit of scalping 101. Let's go back to our daily. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at in terms of Bitcoin. If we have a look of the overall market, like Ethereum over the weekend actually pretty good. Like everything is behaving pretty much the same. If you look at the daily charts, right? Look at Ethereum, right? Hasn't been able to actually break these days. If you look at Bitcoin, kind of the same pattern, right? Look at the same pattern, exactly the same. If you look at Solana, very similar as well. So everything is pretty much the same. So at the end of the day, whatever Bitcoin decides to do, everything will follow. All right, that's kind of, if we start seeing Bitcoin breaking above here, there is a high likelihood that Ethereum will pick up quite fast, and more than likely Ethereum will definitely reach these levels here, right? At least the 2,800, you know, on that influx of liquidity. So Solana looks pretty good as well. Solana looks pretty good, but if we look at Solana against ETH, right, where we at? Yeah, we are that ETH is start gaining momentum as well. So remember, with Solana against ETH, if we want to see ETH being stronger, more than likely we want to see the price keep going down. If we want to see Solana stronger, right, definitely we want to see this holding back up. So this is undecisive yet between Solana and ETH, and between Ethereum and Bitcoin is still undecisive in a way, right? I've been tracking these levels for a while, and then more than likely I will say that like if ETH starts breaking above this level here, then we're gonna have a huge influx on Ethereum, on Ethereum betas. So on the positive note, over the weekend we did not fully break down, you know, because on weekends that we have like low liquidity, and on top of that we have the, you know, the news about 80K, like all this Bitcoin being transferred, stuff like that. Usually, you know, that's going to give you a little bit more fear, but Bitcoin held up pretty well. Like it held up pretty well at this level. So that's why I'm cautiously bullish on that regard. So that's just bring up the chat. Yeah, so that's where I'm at the moment. That's where I'm at the moment. So all right, so in terms of the positions that we had, unfortunately got stopped out on one. So let's go with ENA. So ENA, bloody ENA. So I got stopped out on ENA, right? So I had two positions, right? Like I share with you guys. One from the higher time perspective, and another one with a little bit more risk, with a smaller sort of, with a sort of tighter stop loss, allows me to put more size, right? And then if we had this one to work out really, like that's when you do make the money, right? When you start sizing a little bit bigger, right? Unfortunately, I got stopped down on this one, but I'm still holding this one, okay? And this is the biggest risk. Yeah, like this is the, you know, I'm risking more on this one with a wider stop, and this one with a smaller stop, right? So Martin, yeah, maybe give it a few months. I give up in India. I know, man. I know. My thesis on ENA is still solid in terms of it's a good project, and you know there's a lot of people that gave up on ENA, and that's usually a good indication that this one will start doing the short squeezing and start moving up. You know what I mean? When a lot of people give up and sold, and you know, but what is my thesis behind this? Pretty much you guys have been following that is a lot of stuff on stable coins, right? And ENA, it is the basis of a stable coin, the USDE, right? And USD is being pretty stable. Is being used on Bybit extensively across all pairs. It's a lot. They do have a lot of liquidity, so that could be a really interesting side of. That's why I took this position on INA. So that's kind of the thesis. What if INA starts breaking down below this level here? I definitely gonna cut it, right? Yeah, but that's dependent on Bitcoin. Okay, so that's where I'm adding with INA. AI16 said is holding on both positions. I almost got stopped out on this one, but it's it's been very volatile. So this one is looking okay. A little bit on the water at the moment, but then we still looks pretty good, right? So I'm still holding both, so that's good. Our Arbitrum, same deal. Got to stop down on this one, unfortunately, but then holding the mages here. I might get on it with a higher risk again once I start seeing a little bit more strength. Okay, so yeah, holding still the big one, right? And Uni is, I'm only holding one on Uni, right? It's still a little bit, it's still on profit. I'm still holding this one. Uni's been holding pretty good. I'm thinking about adding into this one, to be honest, because over the weekend, this one actually reacted pretty well. Obviously, I see a lot of resistance about here. I might add more once we break this 200 EMA. And then that's kind of the plan on this ones, on the ones that we hold. And we're still on Hype. Hype is just doing great. I'm thinking about adding more, not sure. And Dodge still really well from this trade. We took it like last November and it's still live, for the remaining. We took some profit already, but with the remaining. So that's kind of the leverage positions that we hold. So, Dwayne. Okay, I'll look into it. I'll look into that. What Dwayne shared. So thanks, mate. Thanks for sharing that. All right. So besides that, I wanna show you what I'm working on because, and I think I'm gonna share with you guys. So first of all, one of the things that I always watch is the sector performance on Velo, right? And on Velo data, you can actually see the sector performance from 1 month. You guys see me using this quite extensively. 1 month, 2 weeks, 1 week to find out which are the the sector that's actually outperforming everything. Okay. Now the downside of using Velo data is that they only do the majors. Like if we have memes, right? They only have WIF, SHIB, Bonk, Popcat, and PIM Dutch, the main ones. Same thing with L1, same thing with gaming, things like this, right? So obviously it's very narrow. Obviously they take in a big the market cap, but then if we have a bull run, right, and if we are on the verge of a bull run, then I think having a little bit more granular, probably I'm gonna slaughter this word, being more granular. Sorry about sometimes I have issues with that word. Granularity. Right, man. Shit, man. So I've been building some indexes, right, that I think I'm gonna share with you guys, and I can teach you actually how to build it on your own. Okay, so you can do that on, because that's gonna give us the best sort of performance out of the narratives when it start popping up, right? But then we might not see it here. We might see it that the sector performance on Velo data is gonna lag after the sector has performed. What do I mean by that? Like, let me just show you what I'm building. I think I gave you a pick. So we could have within you already know how to build spaghetti charts on TradingView, right? So you could actually build spaghetti charts. By the way, in order to have these six screens, you do need premium, because you do need the TradingView premium. So it depends on your subscription, right? I think the plus, it only gives you 2 or 3 screens, but then with premium you can actually have as many. So what I've done is kind of going into sectors with the smaller caps, right, as well. So for instance, you have the BTC betas, you have the meme stuff, you have the RWAs, you have the high cap L1s, Ethereum betas, AI agents, and DeFi, okay? And you can actually track everything by Bitcoin, like the white line across all charts is Bitcoin, okay? So you can sort of spot which sector is actually outperforming, right? By looking how many of these coins are actually outperforming Bitcoin, right? So when you start seeing a lot of, for instance, memes, right? If you start seeing a lot of the memes actually outperforming Bitcoin, more than likely all these memes are going to go nuts. So that's kind of is going to be the focus of the week, or that. I'm doing this to plan how I'm going to be playing the bull run. Usually in bull runs, you have a lot of tokens that actually appreciate in value, and then they change, or they have this narrative switch into, I don't know, RWAs or DeFi or AI agents or whatever. And that doesn't mean that we're going to have new narratives coming along. So this is a really good way to gauge in a high time frame or smaller time frame, even to do scalping, right? So this is a really, really good way to do that. So I'm going to be finishing it. I haven't finished it yet because I have to add a lot of more stuff here. Like, it takes a lot. And then I can probably share with you guys as a public website or things like that. So probably by next week, I'll have it finished. But I can probably teach you how to build your own, you know what I mean? Like, and probably can make the focus of next call to if you guys are interested, how to build this your own sort of indexes in a way, right? So you can actually track the project. So this is the stuff that I'm tracking, but this is what sector is getting hotter. And then you can actually add small caps here, which are the ones that are going to appreciate in value quite rapidly. Okay, so yeah. Once I finish, I'll share. Yeah, like I said, I'll share. But then let me know if you guys are interested, and we can actually do we can build at least 1 or 2 indexes together next week, next week, if you guys want. So with that being said, why this is important? Because check this out. Now, if I change this to 4 hours or 6 hours, right? And then let's move this from June, right? If I move this from, not from May, from June, I had it in June. Right. So from June, what I'm seeing, right, is that the strongest things that are actually getting hot are Maker, which has been in my view for a while, is BCH, Say, Filecoin. We are already in Filecoin, by the way, in the spot. But I'm tracking Syrup, Maker, of course, and Say. Okay, so that's how can we probably spot the main narratives. And the reason why this one haven't sort of exploded is what I want to see for the bull run is everything above Bitcoin. Okay, at the moment it's only a few outliers. Okay, only a few outliers. The meme sector is getting sort of hotter. Like, you can actually see that Bonk, Dog, Mock, Blocky, Rats, With are actually getting there. So this could be a really good indication that we can be on the verge of a bull run. That doesn't mean that it will happen, but then it's an indication. So this is why I build this, right? Because I want to see when all this shit, sorry, excuse my language, all this stuff that is low liquidity starts going up Bitcoin, I think we're going to be on, man. So that's when risk is going to be important to actually size well. Like, I usually oversize on those particular times, and then that's how we can capitalize on those type of movements. But this is how you are a little bit more confident knowing when to size and when not to. Okay, so that's kind of yeah, that's kind of what I'm building, guys. So probably by next week I'll finish it, and then you can actually use it, right? If I create a few sort of public links, you could probably track it, but you will not be able to change it. But if you have your own premium, you can probably copy it. I can show you how to copy it exactly how I copied it, and you can just add or remove, do whatever you want with this. So yeah, that's something that I know, Todd. I know you want it. I know you want it. I'll finish by next week and I'll share it to you guys. All right. But this pretty, because the one that we had before, right, it was just the regular spaghetti chart. Which it does give you some indication, but now you can see, like, let me just load this. Okay, it's quite noisy. You don't see a lot of, you know what I mean? Like, it's not quite well organized. This is the one that I was using pretty much regularly. But now when you start see the difference, now when you start seeing it here, high sectors, I think it's quite handy. And it's going to be very, very good. Like, it's going to be really, really good when narratives start playing. And obviously, this is just the main narratives. There's all the narratives that are piling up. So I'm starting to getting a little bit more organized in this type of situation, so we can capitalize the most on the next bull run. If not, we'll start taking shots anyway. So this is going to be very, very handy to time that. Okay, so yeah. Besides that, that's pretty much what I have, guys. So let me just show you what I'm tracking.
Amazing, Mauricio. So many pretty colors.
I know. Do you like it?
Oh yes, it was hypnotic.
I know. It looks good, isn't it? What do you guys think?
Yeah.
Travis, I can show you, we can probably show you how to build it on your own next week. You know what I mean? Like, and I can show you exactly how to build it, change the colors, make it pretty, and then you can actually track your own stuff. You know, so I think it's really good for you guys to learn how to build it anyway. And it's not complicated, it's just time consuming, man. So Jason, yes, you do need a premium subscription in order to see 6 screens at the same time. But if you have just the plus subscription, I think you can have 2. So you can have multiple 2. So you can have, perhaps you can split it up and do like, you know, but Ethereum betas and then the Bitcoin, and then you can just switch tabs and at the top. You know what I mean? So that's another way around it. Like, if you only have that subscription, but if you only have one, which is the basic subscription, I don't know how many you can have. So yeah, that's the downside. Okay, so oh yeah, the TradingView does have the 4th of July sale. So if you guys thinking to buy it, I think TradingView Premium is quite worth it. There's a lot of stuff that you can do with alerts and things like that, and I use it extensively, so that's why I pay for the full premium then. And I do scalping. So scalping is, you know, by play my alerts, things like that. So it's a lot of things that you can do this. You can do with TradingView, the premium one, especially with the alerts. So yeah. So let me go through what I'm watching. So like I say, right? So I'm watching at say from the daily perspective, it looks pretty good. You know, on market strength, I think say could be a really good play right here. So you can either wait. That's kind of the level that I'm watching, but I don't know if I'm gonna get it. So probably it's not a bad idea to start getting to a position and say it's been very, very strong, and it's been one of the leaders, like you can actually see here, right? Oh, this is cool, man. I love it. Anyway, so That's why I want to start getting position on say, and also BCH. I fucking hate BCH, but the price action is getting very promising, to be honest. But yeah, I'll be cautious about this one. I just don't like it, but price action looks pretty good. And I'm watching all Solana stuff. So unfortunately, I missed Bonk over the weekend. So fucking bonked on Saturday, went nuts. Don't know if I'm gonna get into it. But what I'll be tracking on my on the index here is which are the ones that actually will follow, right? So probably Flocky or Weave will follow, right? And I'll be watching which one is going to be outperforming. So that could actually be, very handy to know. So it's getting there. And from the AI perspective, I'm still, I'm watching AI XBT. So this is another, this is an AI agent, and it's holding pretty good. Now we come into this sort of triangle, give or take. So on the daily, right? So it's going to be resolved at any direction. I'm expecting to the upside. So that could be a really good play again. But it's very like AAXPT, Cerebral, Grifane, all these AI agents are very AI related. So they just go nuts if Bitcoin is going to start. Bitcoin and Ethereum needs to start going up in order for these ones to just go nuts. So that's kind of where I'm at the moment. That's what I'm tracking. It's a lot of opportunities, and hopefully, if Bitcoin starts breaking to the upside, then this spaghetti chart is going to provide us with a lot of insights of which ones are the ones that are moving the most. So yeah, I think that's it for me, guys. So Retardio, I'll add it. I'll let me add it. Let me show you how to add it. So you can go here, let's open this one up, and then we Retardio and Retardio. The problem with Retardio is there's not a lot of charts. Let me add it now. CoinEx, no, this one. For the KuCoin one. Anyway, let me just add anything. All right, and I added right there. No, I did not add that one. Retardio. There we go. And let's add. How does that from Nexi? There we go. So now it's added there. Obviously, it's blue. And then if you wanna, this is a really good idea. If you wanna know, like if you want some coin specifically that you want to track, you can actually change color, and then it's gonna be highlighted, right? But if you don't, you just double click on here, change the color, to the same color that we're using, and then that's it, it blends in. Okay, so all right, this one here, this one, and this one. Oh, never mind. Well, you get the idea. That's it. So that's added. So it's right here. So right now, from that perspective, Retardio is pretty low, right? But if we move this from June, right? I want to see it from June because I want to see which ones are the ones that will start giving us the best performance from the last month, right? So that's what I'm seeing from June. And May, June. So still Bonk, Mock, with Flocky. So with Flocky Dog could be the next contenders. So I'll be watching those ones closely and things like that, But then Retardio is moving along. It's moving along. So yep, that's how you build it, how you add it. So it's annoying, but I will share all the stuff with you guys, so you don't have to build it. Okay, so yeah, that's it, man. That's it for me.
Amazing. All right. See you in the group. Thanks, Maurizio.
All right, guys. See you.
Hello, everyone.
Bye.